is up, guys? Ios here, coming at you with a quick voiceover recording of the night challenge. I actually really enjoyed this challenge. I got to use one of my favorite decks, which I forgot to record it, so I'm going to show you a quick a screenshot of it right now. It's basically one of my favorite decks. It's a classic graveyard bowler deck, utilizing the freeze to kind of just trip up the opponent a little bit, and you have a super strong defensive card being the Night Witch, as well as offensive. A lot of people in this challenge are running a giant Night Witch type strategy. I saw that quite a bit, which for that the Tombstone came in clutch. But I wanted to walk you through the last three battles that I did with this challenge, so I can run you through a little bit how the deck works, and then also some of the misplays I made, some of the people I faced, so that way you guys can kind of see exactly what I did. So with that being said, we're gonna hop into a couple of my replays with this deck. So so my first game was a pretty typical deck that you would see. With this deck, it's not terrible to start out first, but this deck does do really well in double elixirs. So if you want to wait, I say go for it. That's really when this deck excels, because once you have that first tower down and the king tower is activated, the graveyard becomes much more difficult to make effective, and you'll see that in some of my later games when I start getting super nervous. I forget about that and make some very poor plays with that. So trick, stay calm, don't worry about it. This deck is very strong, and if you know how to use it well, you can do some major damage. So anyways, playing a balloon deck here. So what's great is I have the Night Witch. She'll take care of it. I threw down the minion because I was getting super scared of the balloon. I really didn't need to. As you saw, the balloon ended up going for the Tombstone, which was great. And then, because I had played my minion though, and I had the witch down, I was able to create this amazing counter push, which basically is enough to take out their tower, no problem. And then the Electro Wizard as well. So a really strong start. The whole idea with this deck is you want to create a really solid counter push, and then throw in the graveyard as well to basically assist with that counter push, and you'll just basically wreak havoc. Throw in the freeze as well. The freeze comes in really great with certain cards that say the Executioner or certain splash cards. So again, now we have the balloon coming in with the Lumberjack. Now this was a problem here because one, I misplaced that Tombstone, and then two, I didn't have my Mega Minion quite in rotation, and so I thought I would be able to get away without playing it. Turns out I ended up taking a whole lot of damage because of that. That rage really helped out, and I didn't really account for it the way I should have. So here I decided to go for the King Tower, just because I had the Witch heading that way. As you can see, I got nothing off of it. Throw the Tombstone down correctly, but again, that rage is going to be a problem. My opponent's gotten smart with the arrows now, which meant I had to throw down a freeze. Defensively, to deal with that, the bomb is now going to clean up my Tombstone, but it'll distract the other units long enough that I can, place my bowler down. I then throw down the Tombstone to distract the balloon, as well as all the other units, keeping my tower safe for those last few seconds. So, fun game. I'm glad I didn't lose that tower, because again, it's with this deck, getting that first tower down is very easy. If you have to go for a second tower, it gets a little bit more difficult. So we're gonna now hop into the fourth match here. So again, a pretty solid starting hand with the bowler and the Night Witch. This This was actually an interesting battle to play here. I have the bowler. Initially, I thought it was going to be very easy because he was just grouping his cards together, playing some bridge span. I had the bowler there to take care of all that. I had the Mega Minion to take care of that Inferno Dragon. And now look at this counter push I created. I'm not even going to throw down the graveyard. I just decided to freeze that, so that way my units could just do some incredible work on the tower and take it down so easily. And now I have the Mega Minion and a few bats doing some work on the Night Witch. I throw down the Knight to defend, and then also the Tombstone to try to distract the bats, as well as the Ice Wizard, but you saw the bats ended up taking it out. So now we have the Inferno Dragon coming in. I have the Night Witch again, spawn out bats for it. Unfortunately, the bats did not spawn quick enough, so the Inferno Dragon targeted my Night Witch and left the bats for the Ice Wizard to take out. So, so far, I have a pretty solid start going on. Now, I get a little shocked here with the Sparky, and I completely misplaced that freeze too. I was trying to get the Ice Wizard in there too. I don't know what happened. I freaked out. I saw a Sparky. I didn't know what to do. But I do have a defense for the Sparky in the Tombstone. The Knight can take a hit from the Sparky. I believe. I think we'll see a little bit later if I was correct in that. But I have the Mega Minion to deal with the Sparky. I have the Tombstone to help deal with Sparky, but I was not expecting it. I ended up freaking out a little bit there. Now, here was actually a very, very poor play by me. I didn't expect another set of bats to spawn. On top of that, I thought my Night Witch would actually make it to the point where she'd be able to get Sparky and the bats could deal with her. So now I'm freaking out because I have all three strong units going up against just my Knight, now just my Night Witch. So not looking too good for me right now. I really needed my Mega Minion to target onto the Inferno Dragon, and unfortunately the banded targets on my tower gets it down, and we are now going into double elixir, or sorry, not double elixir, going into overtime with with not much of an advantage at all, if any. In fact, I would say quite a disadvantage right now with all the units that my opponent has, as well as just the difficulty that I have dealing with Sparky in this case. So just kind of doing my best, and since he drops a Sparky and an Ice Wizard, I decided just to go with sort of naked Graveyard Freeze down the other side, since I know he's used 9 elixir for that push, and get a little bit of damage, not very much. He freaks out a little bit though. You can see he threw down his Night Witch, his Knight, and a log, in fact. So that gives me enough time to deal with the Sparky. I have the Bowler over here to deal with the Night Witch, and try to get ready for another push. So I have my Mega Minion taking care of the Inferno Dragon. It's not going to be enough. Now, here you're going to see, this was a solid freeze actually. I ended up getting the Sparky, I ended up getting the Tower and the King Tower. Later on you'll see I actually made the mistake of only getting the Princess Tower and Sparky and not actually getting the King Tower. If you're ever playing a graveyard deck, or not a graveyard deck, but a deck with freeze in it, don't place your unit in between the King Tower and the Princess Tower. It gives them the option to freeze all three. So that was a bit of a mistake on my opponent's part there, which allowed me to squeak out quite a bit of damage with that graveyard push. But now I'm just fighting for my life on the other side. I'm throwing down a Tombstone because I expect a Bandit to come in anytime soon, as well as I don't want the Inferno Dragon targeting any one of my towers, because as soon as that happens, I have no way for it to retarget. I'm done. So I decided to throw a Bowler down. I have to play a defensive freeze, unfortunately, because There's just nothing else I can do, and right now this is looking super bad for me. So I have to arrow down all those bats, and ends up coming in clutch, actually taking out one of the Inferno Dragons and both of the Ice Wizards. I have the Knight to help deal with the Sparky a bit, but he's just going to build up another push on the other side, so I decided, okay, you know what, I need to take this opportunity, I need to freeze this, and see what I can do. I have the Tombstone to deal with the Bandit. At this point, I get it into arrow range, and I'm able to just throw some arrows for that last tower. So, really lucky. Almost ended up going through all of overtime with that battle. It was just ridiculous. But really fun. It had my adrenaline flowing, so we are now at 5 wins and going into our last battle. So this game, I actually made a few misplays. I'll point them out, and it ended up leaving me really bitter, and you will see why. But he begins with an Ice Spirit and an Executioner, so I throw down my my bowler, expecting him to throw something in front of the Executioner. He ends up throwing goblins, which is a terrible play. I don't know why he would decide to do that, because my bowler will take them all out in the process of going for the Executioner. He throws down a Hog Rider. I have my Tombstone to deal with that, and so that's pretty easy, takes care of the Hog Rider. Now I decide to throw my Knight down the other lane, because it forces him to choose one lane to respond to. I can play my Graveyard down the other lane. I decided to throw it down the lane with the bowler because the Knight was targeting the other Knight, and so I thought I'd have some more time for the Graveyard to spawn skeletons without being targeted down that left lane. He played an Executioner, great play. It basically just annihilates the Graveyard, but ends up making the same move he made last time with the goblins. I don't quite know why, because bowler of course is going to take them out. I then have the Tombstone to deal with the Hog Rider, and bowler is going to take out the Executioner. And so right now I'm feeling pretty good, and I decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to make a little push here with my Mega Minion, and okay, he zapped, or not zapped, he lightning, so I decide, okay, this is time to go in for another solid push. So throw down the Knight, throw down the Graveyard. This is actually a great play with the Goblin, and so I end up freezing down the Executioner of the tower, and tried to get the Goblin, ended up being a little bit early, but the log actually was a great play. And now I have this huge push coming in, so I decided to throw down the Tombstone again, deal with the Hog Rider, but he was able to destroy those skeletons, and unfortunately I ended up taking a lot of damage from that push. So I decided to do the same thing I've been consistently doing and has been working. Freeze him down. That log is coming in clutch for him, but I am almost able to get a hit in there. I get one log, or one stone, one bowler throw in. But now I have 2 Executioners coming at me. I'm waiting for the Hog to come, because the Hog is going to come at any second. There's the Hog. I throw down the Knight to deal with it. He logs, which is great, because it basically negates the little skeletons that do so much great work against the Hog Rider. But now that it is overtime, I decided I need to get some work done, so I decided to arrow these guys down. And because I did that, I gave my opponent a couple seconds to get that Executioner throw in. As you saw, my skeleton was at the tower. So it was just one of those things. If I just had a half a second more, that would have been my game. But great play. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pull it out with that lightning. I knew it was just a matter of time. I couldn't let him cycle, so I had to make some sort of push. So because of that loss, I now have to go into a 7th game and try to beat that. So he plays Minion Horde. I have arrows to deal with that, so that's pretty easy. But another Sparky. So these Sparky decks are, I have no idea how to deal with. But the nice thing is with Mega Minion as well as with the Tombstone and with the Night Witch, I have a number of different things that'll counter it. I decided to go with a naked graveyard freeze. This is a bit risky because uh, that's 9 elixir that I'm basically just dropping down on the other side unprotected, and then it allows my opponent to have a great counter, but he just dropped a significant amount of elixir in his push, so I decided to go for it anyways, and it ended up paying off. So he throws down a Night Witch. I decided to throw a Night Witch down the opposite side. I expect a Sparky to come in down the other side, but instead I end up with a Giant. So I throw down a Tombstone. He throws down his Mega Minion, or his Minion Horde right after, which unfortunately I did not have the elixir to deal with immediately, and so now I'm in a very bad spot because I'm taking a lot of damage from the Giant and now all these bats that came from the Night Witch. So I ended up almost taking out my tower there. He decides to take it out with arrows, which frankly was not the best decision on his part. Remember, as soon as you take out one of the Princess Towers, the King Tower is going to activate. If it was in arrow range, it would have made sense to, especially with the Giant, if he has a melee unit going against the Princess Tower, bats as well, to leave that tower there so that way the King Tower isn't helping out at all with my defense. So decides to arrow it anyways though, which great for me. If I was going to lose that tower, I was going to lose that tower. But now I'm in a pretty dangerous area here with 2 Sparkies. One of them ends up getting a hit on the tower, so I'm freaking out a little bit, but thankfully my knight is able to take them out and distract them. But not looking good for me right now. Now we have a Night Witch Giant push. I have my arrows to deal with the Minion Horde, so that's a nice little positive elixir trade. I have my Mega Minion to deal with the Night Witch and the bats that come out of there. I have my knight to deal with his knight, and now I'm getting ready to make a really, really solid push here. So I decided to throw the bowler down. I should have thrown down the graveyard a little bit sooner. So this was a great play with the tornado. It allowed him to basically annihilate all my troops. Misplayed the freeze there. If you notice, I should have played it where it would have gotten the Sparky, the King Tower, and the Princess Tower. So I probably could have squeaked out a lot more damage had I done that, but oh well, I have to live with those mistakes and move on. But now I have to play a defensive freeze here because the Giant would just do so much work against my tower, and then I have the Princess and that Knight that I had to worry about as well. Since I had my Witch on the ground, the freeze was not a terrible decision. Now, because remember, if you're going to play a defensive freeze, you want to have a unit already down on the ground, especially with the Night Witch since she's spawning bats. The longer she is on my side of the arena, the more bats that I'm going to have for a counter push. So, same thing, we have this Giant coming in. The Night Witch does so much work against tanks, I love it. And so I have my Mega Minion to deal with that Night Witch, able to take out the Giant before it gets a hit on my tower. And now again creating this amazing counter push. Sparky coming in. I'm waiting for it to take out my Night Witch and my bowler, and use the arrows for the Minion Horde. There was a little bit of lag there, unfortunately, so I ended up not getting any value out of that, which is really, really unfortunate. But it's just a matter of time and stalling now, because as long as I can prevent my opponent from getting that last bit of damage, I can cycle to arrows and hopefully squeak out that last little bit. So throwing the arrows, throw down a graveyard. I just need to get 46 damage out of here. Unfortunately, the arrows were not enough yet. But that tornado ends up not being enough, and I get that last little skeleton hit that I really needed in that last game. But I got it here, allowing me to get that win and make this a solid 6-win for this night challenge. So I hope you guys liked the video. I recommend trying out this deck, see what you guys can do with it. If you like the video, please like it. Please subscribe, it helps me out a lot. But that is it. I'm Miles, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.